So here I am with Claudia in Panama City. And Claudia is from Portugal and has been traveling since the beginning of 2020. When did you first start traveling, Claudia?
I started in January of 2020 before the pandemic.
So, since the beginning of 2020, Claudia has been in Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras,
Costa
Panama,
Rica.
Costa Rica, all hitchhiking.
Yeah, hitchhiking all the time.
Hitchhiking during the time of COVID. So, what has that experience been like for you, Claudia?
Well, in general, it was very good experience for the hitchhiking experience that you know a lot of people. And it was very interesting to see that some people are very quite scared about it, and probably they don't give you rides because of that. But many people are just relaxed and they're not so concerned, and it is possible to hitchhike in pandemics for sure.
Okay, so when you first started hearing about COVID, which country were you in?
I started to hear about COVID when I was still in Argentina, because in Europe, in Italy, it started in February.
Yeah.
And but I thought, okay, it's a European thing. It's not gonna get to this side. And when I crossed the border, the 3 March to Chile, Chile was announcing the first case of COVID in the country, and I said to myself, okay, they're gonna have a couple of cases. It's no worries, nothing to be stressed about it. And I continued my trip to Chile. And then the 18 March, Chile announced that it was closing the borders and started to restrict the movements in the country and the ferries, and I was in Patagonia, and so that was when panic kicked in a little bit, because I didn't know what to do. I was wild camping, and curfew was announced, and yeah, it was a stressful day, that one of the curfew.
So that's quite amazing. So you travel with a tent, hitchhiking by yourself, as a European woman in South America, and you don't know anybody,
No.
nobody in Chile. So what do you do?
I talk to people. I just talk to people. I ask them, because I don't have a defined route, so I just talk to people. I get in touch with them. I make new friendships. They advise me where to go, where is beautiful to see, to spend a bit of time, and that's how I do my route.
Very cool. So what did you think? Were you scared when the panic first started?
No, I wasn't scared. I'm a nurse. I'm in the health system, and I've been working in different times of new virus, like the pig's flu and the bird flu and the H1N1 and so many. And I trust a lot my immunitary system. I know that I'm healthy, I'm young, so there was no reason for me to be scared of this new virus.
Okay, so how about the people around you? Because Chile locked down extremely harshly, did they not?
They did. They did. But I think it was more because of their current situation back then with the protest. Chile was like a bomb exploding in terms of social problems, and so this pandemic was the perfect moment for its president.
Okay, so yeah, I remember hearing a lot about riots at a certain point in Chile. It seemed like people were very angry at the government, and then COVID hit, and I guess they told everybody you have to stay inside.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
it was perfect moment for them. Just put their people at their home and not gathering.
Okay, so did people just accept what were people obeying the measures?
They were obeying because they were scared. It was the beginning. Nobody knew too much about these viruses. So at the beginning, yeah, the people were staying at home and obeying all these things. But I think, well, but still, people in Chile, they continue with their little businesses in the streets and everything, because most people have to work daily to have food on their table.
Yeah, that's one thing that that I have a difficult time understanding is how people can afford to, to just quarantine in countries where the government isn't providing people with social assistance. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Chile was not providing people with welfare, right?
Not enough. No, not enough. So I think that's part of a little bit all over Latin America, this fearless, let's say like this, of going out and continue their lives, because if they don't work, they don't have money. If they don't have money, they don't eat, on a daily basis. So they work to eat that day. And if they stay at home, not working like in Europe or in Canada, in the States, they starve.
Right. Okay. So you were in Chile for 5 months during quarantine. Where were you staying?
I was staying in a little island in Patagonia.
What was that experience like?
It was a very interesting experience. I was living in the countryside, so I was very lucky that I wasn't in an apartment. I could go out to the woods to walk, kayak, and do all these kind of things. And at the same time, people are a little bit more rebellious in Patagonia. They are not so good to obey. And Chileans in general are very rebellious people. And yeah, but still, the police was very aggressive and all the measures were very strict. And so, in a way, people were kind of obeying. And of course, many people were very scared, others not so much. So it was a bit of a mix, I suppose.
Okay, so after Chile, then you continued on to Brazil, is that correct?
It was the first country in South America open their borders, their aerian borders. So I got a flight to Brazil, and Brazil was very different from Chile. Brazil was way more open, everything working in shops and businesses. Of course, there were some areas of the country, especially in the south, they were a bit more strict with the schedules of the opening times and these kind of things. But in general, Brazil was way more free. So in Brazil, I took off my mask and I haven't used it since then almost.
Wow.
Only if they
insist?
Yeah, they insist I put my mask on.
Okay. Very interesting. So in Canada, and I think in the USA as well, the mainstream media has done a lot to tell people that Brazil is just completely coming apart at the seams. It's utter chaos. People are dying in massive numbers. The political situation is absolutely terrible. And in conversation with you, you're basically telling me that's all bullshit. Is that correct?
Well, in my perspective, it is all bullshit. Not just in Brazil, but all this pandemic is bullshit because the numbers cannot be translated into a planetary pandemic.
And you say this as a nurse, as a medical professional as well?
As a nurse as well.
Okay.
And so I feel that in Brazil, of course, there are people in Brazil that they are against the government. They think they have been irresponsible and everything. But many others are agree with measures or the non-measures they got to this pandemic, because people still have to work, people have to survive, and of course the numbers they present you on the TV and on the mainstream, they focus too much on the absolute numbers, but Brazil has more than 200 million people, so if we're gonna make the percentage of people that really are getting sick or severely sick and dying is just a small percentage. So
Okay, so you were able to hitchhike by yourself throughout Brazil.
more in the north, they were more relaxed in the north, even more. So in the north, nobody was wearing masks, not even inside the shops, and they were going to dance and to have drinks with friends, and I wasn't seeing that it was so much worse than anywhere else.
So it's a good time in Brazil. Do you recommend going there to travel and to party?
I do.
Yeah?
I do. Maybe you'll have tricky situations with your country coming in again from Brazil. I don't know, but I absolutely do recommend. I was in Brazil for 2.5 months and not wearing mask anywhere, and I didn't get sick. So.
Great. Okay, so after Brazil, where did you go?
Then after Brazil, South America was still very complicated, so I got a plane to Mexico, and from Mexico I'm doing all by land till now here in Panama, and crossing all these countries. Supposedly Mexico is terrible as well due to the cases, but again, I think healthy people, young people, they don't have to worry about anything. Maybe you get a little bit of symptoms or feel a bit sick for a few days, and that's it. And that's how we built our immunitary system. That's how we built the communitary
Immune system.
Immune system for the community. So
Okay.
that's important.
Okay, so in Mexico, where did you go, and what were your experiences? Again, you're hitchhiking.
I was hitchhiking all Mexico. I've been a little bit everywhere. I spent 3.5 months there, and I started in Mexico City, this crazy mega city, and again in the metros like sardines, and I wasn't wearing mask. Nobody was telling me to do it, so I chose not to do it. And a little bit everywhere in Mexico, actually.
Yeah, and you had a great time in Mexico. Do you recommend people go to Mexico?
I do recommend people to go to Mexico.
I went to Mexico in the summer of last year, and I had an amazing, wonderful time. And people thought that I was crazy for going there, but
Everybody thinks.
yeah.
And now you can go to Mexico. Of course, I believe that people that have already health conditions, chronic diseases, or they have their immunitary system very suppressed, these people should take better care of themselves, protect themselves, eventually wear masks, whatever. But most of the people, young, healthy people, doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so how about in Portugal? Because you're from Portugal. I'm sure you speak with friends and family back home.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've heard?
Portugal, a little bit like everywhere in Europe, they are very in panic with all this situation. They are very stressed and paralyzed about it. Portugal had a beginning, a very good beginning with the pandemic. They were controlling very well. Then they got out of quarantine. The schools started to open, and then they got the second wave, and then they did terrible apparently. And now they are coming out again from the quarantine.
Do you know anybody that's died from COVID in Portugal?
Not directly. I've heard maybe a couple of friends telling me that they know somebody that died out of COVID. But again, I've heard so many, not personally, but I've read in many places that doctors are coming out and saying they are being pressed to diagnose with COVID because hospitals earn 3 times more if they have COVID sick person inside. So
Okay, do you know people that have gotten COVID, friends and family, and recovered?
yeah, that I do. Many of them, and many people or friends of friends and family of friends that I do. I do.
Okay, and what are some of their experiences?
Their experience in general is that they have a few symptoms. Most of them very mild symptoms. Others a little bit stronger, but again they recovered. They fully recovered, and they're doing perfectly well right now.
But so, despite this, you said that most of your friends and family are very, afraid or concerned with
Yeah.
with this. Do you think that this is just due to the media's focus on?
I do believe that is the media that continues feeding us with this fear, with this panic to paralyze us, to keep us at home. I'm not sure what is the intention behind it. Probably control, but I think that most of this panic and these concerns are just in our heads because of the mainstream.
Okay, so let's go back to Central America then. So you from Mexico, then you go to Guatemala,
Salvador,
Salvador,
Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and now we are here in Panama.
Okay, do you want to just touch briefly on each one of those countries? How are they different? How are they the same?
So, in terms of the pandemic and the people in Mexico, all of them are pretty open. People
Yeah.
are doing their lives almost normally, and especially Mexico, Guatemala, and Salvador. Most of them. Costa Rica is a little bit more strict. Maybe they have this more Occidental mentality. I don't know. And Panama till now was from Central America is the most strict. That people say to me on the streets, on the exterior, to put my mask on, and I wasn't used to it already. So
Yeah, so you said in Nicaragua no one is wearing masks.
No.
You don't see it anywhere.
no. Nicaragua was the one that is most free till now. They didn't
Yeah.
have any quarantine this last year. They didn't have any measures, nothing. Just things were going normally, parties and everything, and they don't wear any masks anywhere.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so it seems like the countries that do nothing, have similar or lower death rates than the countries that do, the most strict lockdowns. But it doesn't seem like the governments want to admit this. Why do you think that is? What do you think the agenda of the governments and the media and the corporations that are making people afraid is?
Well, I'm sure there's economical interest behind it, and of course, who's winning with this? All the medical companies and the pharmacy industry and all of these industries, and of course the big businesses like food businesses and everything. The big ones are continuing to be bigger, and they are destroying the small businesses.
So you think it's a massive transfer of wealth from the lower and the middle classes to the big corporations?
Yeah, I think they want to kill the mid class.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Okay. How about vaccines? What's the situation in Portugal, and then in other countries? Are people worried about getting vaccinated? Have they already been vaccinated? What's your personal opinion on vaccines?
I think most of people in Europe, they want this vaccine. They think it's going to be the solution for this pandemic. Many people on this side are more reluctant to vaccines, but still are willing to accept it. I don't want this vaccine for me.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
And apart from that, I'm not sure what is inside of this vaccine. It's in average, a vaccine goes to be safe and to be commercialized. It takes 5 to 10 years to make sure it is a safe vaccine, and still it's not totally 100% safe. So how come they do a vaccine in 1 year? I don't trust them, and we are going to be the guinea pigs of COVID vaccine, so not interested.
So, I mean, if it came to either getting vaccinated or not being able to return to Portugal, which would you choose?
If they put it mandatory to fly, I'll have to pay a nurse to give me the stamp and don't inject me.
Yeah.
That's the only solution I can find. I'm not gonna be injected with this vaccine.
Right. Okay, so what would you have to say to people that are afraid that they see images from Brazil or India on Facebook and they're afraid, and what would you have to say to those people who are afraid?
I say turn off your televisions, don't go so much into social media, and go to the places to see with your eyes, or try to find people that were there that can tell you about their experience, not repeating what they've heard. And don't be so afraid about this virus. I think most of all you should take care of your health, general health. It's not because there's a virus that you're taking care of it now. You should eat well every day. You should do a bit of exercise, keep your mental health in a good place, and you don't have to worry about it if you don't have a severe medical condition. So everything is fine. So go out, be with friends, be in the nature, contact with people without fear, because there's no reason to be so scared about it.
Thank you very much, Claudia.